My name is Jordan Wiegand, and this is Enter Flash Time, where we slow time down, examine, and take an in depth look at each episode of the Arrowverse series, The Flash. In any episode, Barry Allen may appear in the larger universe. Today's episode is Pilot, the first episode of the first season of The Flash, and the first episode overall. This is also Barry Allen's third appearance in the Arrowverse. My guest today is Zach Moore from Always Hold On to Smallville and Always Hold On to the Flash, who discussed the 1990s Flash series. Hello, Zach. Thanks for coming on. How are you today?
Hello there. Happy to be here. Yes, I am not only a Smallville fan, but a Flash fan as well.
Yes, I just bought the Blu-ray when it released last year. Watched the first couple episodes, and then my son was born, so I've lost all time to do that.
You got to enter Flash time yourself to make some more time.
Yes, that is true. But let's just start. I think you're mostly known as the Superman guy, right? Always Hold On to Smallville. That's how I discovered you and followed you on social media. But I know from listening to that, you like at least the first season of The Flash. But like, where was your start of the Arrowverse journey?
Well, the Arrowverse obviously followed up Smallville. So, Smallville ended. The next show was Arrow. And I remember when they announced Arrow, we were all excited for a Justin Hartley Green Arrow
Yes.
spinoff.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't that at all. And I was like, I don't know, man. I kind of didn't want something new. I wanted to keep watching what I've been watching the last, 10 years. But then Arrow, the first season, won me over for sure. The first half of it. Then I was pretty locked in after that. And then those first couple seasons of Arrow were great. And then, of course, Barry Allen appeared on the second season of Arrow and really kind of birthed the Arrowverse. And then the Flash started in the third season of Arrow. And the Flash, the first season of Flash is excellent. It's one of the best seasons of superhero TV. And as you hinted at, I'm a big fan of the 1990 Flash show, which with this show is really a spiritual successor to it every way. And for all the ups and downs and faults over the years of this Flash show has, I really it'll always be special that it kind of kept that other a special thing about it is they kept that other show alive through actors, through characters, appearances. It really respected the legacy of that show. And even if it hadn't brought back John Wesley Shipp and almost everybody else, it would have still been a great show, that especially in that first season. But the fact that it went there and it had so much respect, the Mark Hamill stuff with the Trickster, showing production photos, in their timeline and all that, and then just keeping it going to from John Wesley Shipp himself, not only playing Henry Allen, but then Jay Garrick, and then ultimately the 1990s Flash. That makes it all worthwhile, honestly, to me as a young kid who watched that show when I was very small, and it stuck with me all these years. And I started a little podcast about it too. But yeah, that's where I was, and I was with the Arrowverse. I think everybody has a when did you stop watching the Flash story. I feel, and I kind of gave up around season 3-ish. Not that I was like, I can't watch this anymore. It was more like there were so many shows.
Yeah.
And then I had started Always On to Smallville. So I'm watching Smallville again. And I've been trying to this Arrow and the Legends of Tomorrow started and Supergirl's over here. And I would watch all the crossovers. That kept me in. But I did come back and I watched all of season 9 of The Flash, since it was the last season. I wanted to come back and watch it all. And, I'd say there's, I don't know how long that season. It's like 10 episodes, I think. Is it? Something like that?
I think
it's a shorter season.
That's a good question. It was shorter. I thought it was 13, but might be...
That might be right, too. Because I was going to say, I don't know, I probably liked about 3 or 4 in there of that 9th season. So that's where I am. But I do have a lot of love for the show.
13, yes.
Yeah, okay, 13. Okay, so I have a lot of love for the show, especially those early years. I think season 2 gets a bad rap over the years. I feel like people say, oh yeah, season 1, and then everything is off the rails after that. I would disagree with that. And there's good stuff throughout the show. I think, and Smallville guy here, much like Smallville, I think these shows are victims of their own success. They got to keep going and going and going. And what else are you going to do? Of course, Smallville had that end goal of he's going to become Superman. The Flash, you're like, what is the end goal? Of course, there's the Crisis, which they tease in the very first episode.
Right, yeah.
But they move that around a bit, and it's part of this greater Arrowverse. So there's so much going on here. But I will always appreciate this show, and there would be no Arrowverse without the Flash. Without the Flash, it's like Arrow, which is great. Arrow's a great show. Arrow is my favorite Arrowverse show. But the Flash is what made it a universe.
Awesome. I have said this this is my third time now on the podcast, probably, but I didn't start watching Flash until or any of the Arrowverse shows until Valentine's Day 2023.
Oh wow.
So very recent for me. But I was always a Flash fan, you know, like I really liked Wally West in the Justice League cartoons, voiced by Michael Rosenbaum, right? Like, you know, and then I'd been reading some of the comics, all that kind of good stuff, but I'd always kind of stayed away from the Arrowverse because of what you mentioned before. I was a Smallville fan, and it wasn't Justin Hartley, and I was throwing a fit about that, I guess. But then I had friends that did like it, and my parents watched it for a bit. I think my mom stuck through all of Flash, actually, but I kind of put it off, and then I rewatched Smallville and then showed it to my wife for the first time in 2021, and you know, that lasted all of 2021 into 2022, and then in 2023 I was kind of like, I want a DC show, and I was like, maybe I was like called out sick from work, and I was not feeling well. I think I left early or something, came home, and I was like, do I rewatch Smallville or do I watch Arrow and bite the bullet? Because it's daunting, you know, 699 episodes, because I watched all of the Arrowverse, every single episode, and did that in a year. And but Flash was the one that stood out to me because I just really already liked him as a character, and I do think it helped binging it, honestly, because I would say I love the first 3 seasons of the show. I do think there is a little bit of a decline in 4 and 5, but I do like them. It's not really until like season 6 that I start like kind of like, oh no, like this is not going the way I would hope. But you know, overall, I still really enjoyed the show. But
I'll tell you a fun story. You might have heard me say it before on one of my podcasts. Me and my best friend Lance Laster, you had on previously.
Yes.
You know, we watched Arrow and the Flash together. We were roommates back then at the time, so that was a lot of fun times. Us watching the shows together because we were so used to watching Smallville. It was part of our routine watching these shows, right? So we went to a Comic-Con a few years ago and met Teddy Sears, who plays. Well, spoilers.
Yes.
Can I?
Yes, yeah, it's a rewatch pod. You're good.
Yeah, I spoil everything and always on the Smallville, so I don't want to just make the assumption. But Teddy Sears, he went on to play quote unquote Jay Garrick, and then Zoom, obviously. And we met him at a convention. He's the coolest guy. We got an autograph from him, and he explained, like, we were just talking to him for a bit, and he explained that, yeah, you know, when they pitched the character to me, Zoom, where he's like going to be Barry's mentor, and then he's actually going to be the villain and another speedster. I was like, I don't know, guys. It sounds kind of like what you did the first season. Like, yeah, you're not wrong, Teddy. But no, Teddy Sears is a good dude, and Zoom was a great villain. I mean, Reverse Flash is my favorite Flash villain. I think everybody's would be. Like, how would it not be? Like, he's a guy. You know, they might have used him a little too much, as they often do in these shows, but he's still the best one. And Zoom, I don't know. Zoom's probably the second best villain on the show. I really think so.
Yeah, no, I'd probably agree. I mean, I always thought like the show kind of went like season 1 was my favorite, then season 2, then season 3. Like it kind of went in that order for me. But I'll say I think one of the things I really liked about those first 3 seasons are having speedster villains, as much as it's kind of like a old hat type of thing. But I also like the Earth 2 stuff a lot, really, which I think is really fun. A fun thing. I think one of the reasons I'm really drawn to Flash is my favorite movie is Back to the Future. And I watched that when I was a kid, and just anything with time travel in it is like my favorite thing. You know, like any sort of TV show, if they introduce time travel, alternate universes like Fringe and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Great show.
12 Monkeys. Like I really love all those type of time travel and alternate universe shows. So I think that's one reason why Flash really, he lends himself so well to those stories.
For sure.
Okay, I guess let's go into the episode itself here, which, as stated previously, episode 1 of season 1. Story by Greg Berlanti, Andrew Kreisberg, and your friend Geoff Johns.
Yes. I've had the opportunity to talk to Geoff a couple of times now on the show, and And yeah, it was great to see his stamp on this. He's my favorite comic book writer, and he also
Same. Yeah,
loves the
he's up there for
Flash.
me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mark Waid and Jeff Johns are up there for me as my
absolutely.
two favorites. Teleplay by Andrew Kreisberg and Jeff Johns, and directed by David Nutter, and it aired October 7th, 2014. The Netflix synopsis here is: waking from a coma, Barry harnesses his newfound extraordinary speed to combat another metahuman who has his power over the weather to loot banks. Um, I guess before we go like kind of like into the weeds here, just like what was your first reaction to this episode when you first watched it? Like 11 years ago now.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking right before we recorded. That really puts things in perspective. How long it's been since the new Flash show came
Yes.
out, right? But yeah, I of course I would, like I said, we're watching Arrow, and his episodes in Arrow were fantastic. And Grant Gustin, immediately I was like, okay, this guy's great. I never thought Barry Allen had blonde hair because I watched the '90s show, and then I watched this show, and then you find
Right.
it's like, we're gonna get a live action blonde Barry Allen, and never apparently.
Nope.
But yeah, apparently Grant Gustin said he would have dyed his hair blonde, but they said don't worry about it. So they're like, okay. But he was charming. He was great. He was quirky. He had that energy to him. He really won me over already on Arrow. So I was excited to see. I mean, because that as you might or may not have talked about, like that was going to be a backdoor pilot on Arrow,
Yeah.
but it was so successful. They were like, you know what, green light the show. So when they said that during Arrow, I mean, I was what I'm trying to get at, I guess, is I was really anticipating this show, and then they released that Comic-Con trailer. Back in the CW days when they had the shows, like all their season trailers, like these mini movies. It's like 4 minutes
Mhm.
long and all this, and so you watch this, and that I was really hyped for it, and yeah, I was immediately drawn in and like as advertised, right? I mean, I was curious like how they were gonna like how what we saw in Arrow was gonna translate here, and it translated great to the point that Green Arrow was in this, and it's like a perfect like
Yeah.
expanding of the universe, and I think they handled that so well, and that's what got me really excited. In addition to it just being a good pilot, a good launch for the story.
Yeah, no, I think I didn't watch it live, but I definitely heard like this thing really took off like for season 1 of The Flash. My parents don't usually watch a lot of stuff. So
Mhm.
like the fact that they were watching it when it went to Netflix, and that helped too, right? Like when it goes
Oh
to
yeah,
Netflix, like it was like what like a couple weeks after the finale or whatever. That it goes to Netflix and people are watching it. Um, but uh, yeah, this show has one thing I really miss about the early Arrowverse too. I would say is as I continued watching more and more,
Mhm.
is how like each of those shows had like the like CW logo in their style of the um show right before the credits kicked in or right
Yeah.
before the opening monologue, which would always be like I did at the top of the show. My name is Barry Allen
Mhm.
and my name is Oliver Queen. And there's a certain time where they just stop doing that and I get a little sad.
Yeah, I think it's after Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? They
Yes, I
mix it
think
up,
so.
and yeah, and then at the end, the credits like boo doo doo doo, whatever the WB jingle
Yes,
was with the
yes.
either the lightning bolt or the arrows or that sort of thing. But yeah, that was these shows all had that identity, and it was a special time. I mean, to think about it, right? I mean, I got fatigue, I guess, if you want to. That's the best word for it of all these shows. So I just couldn't keep up, especially
Yeah,
doing the Smallville podcast. But what a time to be alive where there was a time where you could watch Arrow, Flash,
yeah.
Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl all in one week. We maybe we took it for granted. I don't know, but now
And
they
they
live on
were
Netflix. So
right, and they were characters that, were never getting the big film treatment during that time
right.
either,
And some would
so
argue when we did get the big film treatment that there was the show was far superior. But anyway.
yeah, I do. I haven't watched the Flash movie in a while. I did remember liking it, but I will
Okay.
say,
You watch it again after you watch the show. You might have a different opinion.
even then, I was in the middle of watching this, and I came out like, yeah, it was good, but like, I would always choose the show over that. Like, I would
Mhm.
always choose turning on the show because I feel like we already had the peak of
Oh yeah.
Flash on something like that. So, um, one thing too, this show takes a lot from Flashpoint, which is crazy to think that that origin was still only like 4 years old when this show launched.
Yeah, yeah, because that's 2011. You know, when Jeff Johns wrote Flashpoint, and then it led into the New 52, and he added that wrinkle of Barry's past and Reverse Flash, and
Right.
I think that really unlocks the character that makes him so interesting. Because I don't know, like, does every hero need to be tragedy? No, I don't think so. Right? Some
Hmm.
It's good to have Superman, the Flash, just happy heroes that do the right thing just because it's the right thing to do. But it just makes them so interesting. And I think, your point about time travel earlier makes it so interesting. Like, to me,
Yes.
that makes it so compelling, and that sets up this entire. I mean, in the comics, it's interesting with Reverse Flash, obviously, but this show in particular, with the way they play that with these characters, like, so this show, how empty would this show be without that Dr. Wells component, right?
Yeah, no, I think that is, people, there are like, I've learned this from being on just, I guess, the internet as a whole, but like Reddit and stuff. You go on like a Flash subreddit or something that is not about the show, and people are like, Flashpoint's the worst thing to ever happen to this character. And I'm like, I get it. Like, if that's never, like, it's a big retcon, it's a big change, but it's also like, it opened up so much for the show. And I think, that they wouldn't have probably made that change just for the show. So like having
Right.
that have a basis in the comics kind of opened them up to do something which I think is probably better than the comic of Flashpoint, in the sense of like this whole first season of like just diving into trying to figure out the mystery of what happened that night. I think is uh, really an interesting thing, because as a comic book fan, you're sitting there thinking, okay, well, the yellow is obviously Reverse Flash, the red is definitely Flash from the future, who's going to try to stop this at some point, but when do we get there, right? And
Mhm.
it's almost like you have a target at
That's
the
your
end of
target.
this
Yeah.
episode, that you're like, all right, so at some point they're going to reach that. And that's what you can do with time travel stories. You have like the goal of, oh, in a certain point we're going to see this again from a different perspective, and it's going to be either the finale or the series finale or sometime down the road that they're going to do this. And the answer is both of those,
The answer
right?
is a few different times.
A
How
few
many how
different things.
many Barry Allens, how many of the Flashes were in that house that night, right? If you do
Yeah,
the
it
math.
becomes like the Spider-Man meme. They're just pointing at each other. But we opened the show 14 years ago. Barry is running away from bullies. He gets into a fight, and this is like, I guess, the night before his mom dies, that he's
Yeah.
having this conversation with her about fighting. And his dad comes home, and during the middle of the night, he wakes up with a flash of light, and we get the water tank, the water in the fish tank rising, which we've seen in the previous episode of the Arrow where he showed up, where um,
With the lab.
they kind of
Yeah.
show the lab and the other side of that. Yeah.
So
But then
that's
we
how
see,
lightning time travel stuff works in this universe
yeah, it raises
sometimes. Yeah.
liquids.
Yeah.
Yellow and red lightning surrounds Nora. Barry is told to run by his father, and then it, cuts to today. Really cool transition with the feet
Yeah.
of the little Barry running, and then it turning into our Barry Allen.
How did you like them spreading out the backstory throughout the episode? And so, like, because the what they could have done was just like, here's the first 15 minutes and like all the stuff. But I mean, I think that was pretty clever. They spread it out, because it eventually builds to you meeting
Yeah.
Barry and his dad at the end, because that's like the emotional crescendo of the whole thing, and with Joe obviously and all that. I think that was a real smart decision.
No, I agree. I think you could, for lack of a better word, like blow your whole load at the beginning right there, right? And just show it all. But I feel like it wouldn't land as
Hmm.
well. Like, it's enough of like, I guess, like dangling the carrot in front of you to make you keep watching, probably as well, if you're a first time viewer, like, oh, I want to see more of what happened that night. And then it keeps kind of going back throughout the episode. We have Barry arriving to the crime scene. He's late, of course. That is going to be a tally board
Yeah.
item, is Barry late, how many times he's late.
And that's a character trait, from the comics. It's this ironic
Yes.
thing that even when he is the Flash, he's late. And so no matter what, no matter how, I think that's an interesting just character quirk. And I know it's kind of fun, but it's like, no what, even if you had superpowers, you're super fast. If you're a person who's late all the time, you're probably still going to be late all the time.
Right, right. And this is even before he has powers, but when he gets powers,
Yeah,
it's still a constant theme. Um, because when he gets powers, it's more because he's actually doing stuff to
exactly.
help the city. But we have Joe West and Captain Singh talking. Where's Alan? Um,
Captain Singh, little did we know he'd become such an important character. I mean, he could have been
right.
just a one-off guy, but
No, yeah, I did not think when I first watched this that the captain would play as big of a role as he
yeah.
does.
And then Jesse L. Martin, just inspired casting as Joe, because like, he's famous for Law and Order, playing a cop, right?
Yeah,
And so
and
he's
he went
this is
right
his
back
wheelhouse.
to that after
Yeah.
Flash, not Law and Order, but he did the whatever the
Yeah, whatever show that was.
NBC show
Yeah, I
was.
remember what you're talking about. Yeah, but anyway, he's great. I mean, he's probably the all-star of the cast, I think, or big standout.
Well, you need people like that, right? To
Yeah.
kind of like ground it into not just like, oh, that's a guy I know from Law and Order, but almost like uh having a plus actor when you have like a lot of unknowns
Yeah.
that are going to be carrying this, that kind of like lends credibility
Yeah,
to the
you
show.
need the quote unquote old people. You need the John Schneiders and Another Tools on
Yes,
Smallville, right? That's
exactly.
the and oh, by the way, David Nutter, who directed this, he directed Smallville's pilot as well. He's like a pilot guy. He directed the Game of Thrones pilot. He directed all kinds of stuff.
Oh, that's where
Yeah,
I know his name
he's the
from, I guess.
he's like a pilot's or his speciality. So
Wow,
so
interesting.
man,
I
I don't
didn't
know what.
realize the Game of Thrones thing,
Oh
but
yeah,
that's it. Now you said that though, I can picture his name in
on
the
the
font of
credits.
the credits. We have obviously they have this great line here of, last time he said he was late due to car trouble, but he doesn't have a car.
Car, yeah.
He's not great at excuses. But he is good at his job, and he's like surveying the scene. He knows exactly what type of car they're looking for due to the tire tracks. It's very like Sherlock Holmes, Adrian Monk,
Yes. Can
type
we
of thing.
we got to talk about this for a second, because they
Yeah,
introduced this visual
that
language
they
of
never use again.
never is bizarre, right? Because it's like Barry, he's like, it's the kind of stuff they do on Sherlock or stuff, right? Where he's doing calculations, and I'm like, oh, this will be interesting, like a way to show how Barry's he's a smart guy, right? How his mind works, all this stuff, and then I do this in this tire track, and it shows like the math, and they never ever doing it. It's so random. It's so funny. Like they obviously thought they were going to do this for the whole
Yeah.
show, and they just said, ah, never mind. I don't know. Like it's I thought it would have added a little bit more like I don't know, like uniqueness to this if they did it, but
Mhm.
he didn't. He ended up not doing a lot of police stuff over the course of this
That's what I
show.
was about to say to kind of like refute that, I guess, is that, like I think they thought they were gonna do a lot more police stuff than they actually did in this show. He
Which
starts
that would have been nice. It would have mixed it up a little bit than the speedster of the year, right? If they just had a
Yeah,
little bit more
yeah,
of
yeah.
that. So oh well.
Yeah, it is what it is
But
now.
whenever I rewatch that, it's so funny because there's so much attention is put on this.
Yeah, part of
Whenever
it's like,
again.
did they do that just because it's a pilot and they're like, "This'll look cool, like,
Maybe.
this'll look legit." Uh, but yeah, no, it does not get used ever again. Um, but he borrows a pen from Joe's partner, who and he picks up crap with it. And my dad gave me that pen before he died. Just
That was a funny get.
how inconsiderate he is.
Yeah.
And guess what? He dies not too long
Yeah. I mean,
from
it's funny
now.
because I've forgotten, like, oh yeah, he dies, and it's sudden it kind of casts that line a little differently.
Yes, yeah. It's like, you're not even going to get this pen back
Yeah.
before you die,
Oh
I
my
guess.
goodness.
But Iris arrives to talk to Barry. They're supposed to go to the particle accelerator uh, at Star Labs. And this immediately, I'm like, wait a minute. This is a continuity issue. This early in the Arrowverse here.
Yes.
Because the whole last episode of Arrow, they were doing the countdown to the collider turning on. Then Barry gets home that night on the phone with Felicity and gets struck by lightning. But now it's the daytime and he's already come back from Starling City and they haven't done the collider yet. So I did not realize that at all
Yeah. What
when I
is
first watched.
I guess what they're trying to say is that Barry got this is the day he's running because he's from coming back from Starling City,
Right. Yeah.
and then he doesn't call Felicity till that night after. right before he gets struck by lightning. Like that's the only way it works, right?
Right, but I don't even know if it works then because they were doing the countdown on the TV in the last episode. Like Felicity and him were watching Linda Park.
But not that Linda Park.
Yeah, by the way, like you always say, there's always two.
There must
right?
be two. Yeah. Lance
Linda
says that
Park.
too. I think Lance is the one. I got to give credit to Lance Laster. He's the one I think started saying that in our circles. But yeah, Linda Park on the TV here is not the Linda Park Buried Dates Later.
Yes, but they were like counting it down of being that night. So I do think this is a pretty major continuity.
Why? But why change that? Like, I'm sure they could have figured. I guess they just wanted to have more of a story that day for him.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to do. I think it's probably honestly the right move if you're doing a pilot because you need all of this stuff to happen
before
probably
Flash.
In the show. Yeah, especially like if they're going to be. I think the main thing is that they wanted to have the police stuff before he gets his powers and set up the villain that they then think is dead and then comes back. That's the only thing I can think of because I mean. This is right off the bat. This is the first episode of a spin-off of the universe.
Well, I mean, I
There's
guess
a continuity issue.
In their defense, they thought they were going to do that backdoor pilot.
Right.
So they thought all that was going to be, he was going to be Flash already by the time they got to Flash. And then when they changed gears, I'd love to see, I'm sure someone on YouTube has done some like super edit where they all try to make it make sense. But I thought, because I hadn't watched those episodes of Arrow in a while, and I was wondering, like, you've obviously just watched them. So you've identified, like, this does not sync up with what we saw.
And this is the first time I've watched them like this because when I watched them originally, well, I did watch them quickly. I was binging it. I still watched all of season 2 of Arrow between. This one, I literally went from that episode to this episode with only like a week in between. And I was like, oh no. And then I looked it up on the wiki that they have. And it mentions it as well. So I felt validated.
We're not alone.
A little validated. I am not alone.
Smallville had a lot of continuity problems, but it never had to worry about other shows.
Yes.
So
yeah, as much as they tried, right?
But we meet Iris West here, and making Iris his adoptive sister. I mean, it's an odd choice. It's one of those things that you think would be some, I don't know, some weird thing they had to like incorporate somehow in the comics and make it work. But instead they chose to do this.
Yeah, brand new.
And that's just, to me, that's very strange. Like,
that's what I was going to ask you is like, what do we think of the whole like Joe West? Because he's, this mentor figure of him is exclusive to this, right? And then we have the fact that he raised Barry, like you said, as well as raising his daughter under the same roof. They were already friends beforehand, and he had a crush on her beforehand. Is I think how they try to explain this.
I mean, how old was he when his dad went to prison and his mom died? Like,
that's a good question. It's just 14 years ago.
So was he 10, 9, 8? Can we really say it's okay because he had a crush on her when he was 8 and then he lived with her for 10 years in a house? Like, it just, they put themselves in this situation. So look, I love Joe. I love everything with him. Iris as his daughter is cool. Like, especially, the foundation of like, I wanted to be a cop, but you wouldn't let me. That's good stuff. Obviously, this is a very different Iris West than we've seen before. They eventually, give her the reporter stuff that she gets. Yeah. It's just a weird setup, man. And Candace Patton is great. And she's, but because of this brother-sister setup, I feel like I found myself liking Barry's relationships with all these other people. Like Patty Spivot or Linda Park even, but especially Patty Spivot. But, it's Felicity Smoke.
I liked them with Felicity too. Yeah, no.
And then I felt bad, and I'm like, should I ship it more with Iris more? But that's his sister. Like, way down the line, I think one of the wedding episodes, right, is I always remember this, like the officiant or the priest or pastor, whatever, comes in and talks to Joe. And he's like, so you're the father or the bride or the groom? And he says, both. So the show knew it was somehow.
At least they were aware. Yeah,
I don't know. It throws you off, man. It throws you off. That's how I feel about it. It's a strange setup for the people you're supposed to be rooting for as the main ship of the show, right? I don't know.
It panders to a certain demographic. All right, is what we're saying. certain people who watch certain things. But yeah, that is odd. I think I like the setup of him being taken in by somebody,
Yes.
and I like Joe as his mentor. I never really thought too much about the implication of I think it worked on me in the sense of they said he had a crush beforehand, and I'm like, all right, I can explain this away a little bit, but it is I can see why some people have a hard time
Well,
getting
I mean,
through it.
you're binging it all.
Yes,
After it's over, it's 9 years.
right. I already knew
Six
like
of
they
those
were.
years, there are a couple.
Yes,
It's
yeah, yeah,
it is written for you already. For us watching it
yeah,
for the first time, like you made him his sister. Like
yeah,
what
yeah,
are you
yeah,
doing? So
yeah.
because there was no reason in the comics to do that.
Right,
So
right.
anyway, but no, I'm with you there. I like the taking him in. Joe is the mentor. All that stuff is great. Their family dynamics are great, which again is odd because I don't want his father figure to be her father because
Yeah, that's where it gets weird, right? Is definitely
yeah,
like,
I don't know.
how do you can't even have him like meet the dad of his girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's like it's somebody that he knows very, very well. But I guess what did we think of Joe as a whole, right? Like in this episode, he has a line later on where he tells Barry to quit it, like your dad definitely killed your mom, type of thing. A little on the harsh side there, I
Mhm.
guess. But like, what was your thoughts on? I guess look, I guess Joe is a by the book cop type of character. So obviously he's going to go where the evidence goes. He's going to go where this goes. But you would think maybe he would be, I don't know, a little more gentle when it comes to this topic in particular.
Well, I think that's great. That scene you're talking about later, where he's like, "All right, you
Yeah.
want to do this here now? All right," because I feel like he's felt like he's been coddling Barry or using kids
Hmm.
gloves for 14 years, right? He's like, "All right, yeah, you want to go see your dad in prison or all right, all that sort of thing, right?"
Right.
And he's fed up with it. He's like, I've been letting you have this fantasy for 14 years, but here, dude, your dad killed your mom. You got to deal with it. None of this fancy stuff is happening. You got to accept. So, like, I feel like that was kind of a breaking point. That was like a real raw scene between them. And I appreciate they put that in there because this is the grounded world that we're in right now.
Right. Right.
Before things happen on the Flash just opens up all these crazy things.
Yeah.
A cop in Central City before all this happens, he would think, "Why? Yeah, your dad killed your mom. There's no magical yellow man who killed your mom, man." And so I really thought that was a great scene, a great choice to do that.
The hysterical thing about that though is like Eddie coming right up afterwards, being like,
Immediately,
"So this is what the bad guy looks like. It looks
yeah,
exactly like who Barry's just said."
yeah, that's funny. That was a good bait.
Uh, all right, so going backwards, we
Yeah,
still have Harrison Wells gives a speech, right? This is our introduction to Harrison Wells. Someone steals Iris's bag. Barry chases them, gets beat up a bit, but the person runs into Eddie Thawne, who is able to stop him. What was the discourse like during this with Eddie Thawne?
well, when they release names of characters, you're
Yes,
like, oh, this is like the hot, fresh new take on Eobard Thawne, right?
yes,
That's what you think, and then that's what was so clever at the time because you're zeroed in on, oh, this guy is going to become Eobard's a silly name. We can't use that
that's
Eddie,
what I was gonna
right?
say. Yeah, exactly.
So you're like, all right, well, he's Eddie because this is, you don't, you're looking, at least me and a lot of people who were watching at the time, coming to this through Smallville. Oh, well, this is Clark and this is Lex, right?
Right,
In
right.
theory, so this is going to be his arch nemesis, but no, like, and I think as the CW got better and better with the obstacle boyfriend character,
Hmm.
because you had your Whitneys in the past, but Tommy Merlin ended up being a good character, and then Eddie Thawne was
Yeah.
a good character, and I'm real happy that they kept bringing him back. Rick Cosden, they kept bringing him back in little video, much like he was much like Tommy Merlin. They kept bringing him back in little spurts, and
Yes.
then of
Yeah.
course he plays a big role in the final season of the Flash, which I was always hoping for. They might not have stuck the landing exactly, but I'm glad he played an important role there. And
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
no, the fact that his name was Thawne, we were like, well, there it is. Is he the man in the yellow suit? Like that's what we all
Right.
thought.
Right.
So it's a brilliant misdirect from, as you said, we just met Tom Cavanaugh's Dr. Wells. It's like, well, he doesn't look like Reverse Flash, and he's in a wheelchair.
Hmm.
And anyway, so that the speculation and discourse was pretty fun back then.
Oh, I bet. I mean, Eddie Thawne, like you said, exactly what I was thinking of. Like, oh, they can't do Eobard. Who would name their kid Eobard? Right? So, they CW it is
Yep.
what people would probably say, and we've had that in Smallville where they give people different names to make it work for their version of the character or whatever. Um, but yeah, no, he has a great one thing I think that really works for season one is that feels like something that what happens in the finale with with Eddie is uh, something I feel like would happen in like season 5 of a show at
100th
times.
episode. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh, but it's the finale of season 1. And I think that's one thing that made me like really impressed by the show when I was watching. I was like, man, they took something that like could have been a really long stretched out arc for network television and they just did it in one season. And I thought that was really great.
I mean, yeah, we were also impressed that they were going for it like all season, like Gorilla Grodd. I mean, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Rogues, like they did not hold back, and you can say now, but maybe they should have saved some stuff. Maybe that's why they
Yeah.
ran out of things by the end. But that can't take away from them going full speed ahead. No pun intended, but in the first season.
Oh yeah, my biggest complaint I think for the show is that they lose Captain Cold and Heatwave
Yeah,
to Legends,
love them.
and they were such a big part of the first season or two of this
Hmm.
show, and then they just like never really interact again,
No,
and that's a bummer. It's a real bummer, especially like when we get Captain Boomerang in
oh
one of the first crossovers with Arrow,
yeah,
but it was in the Arrow
yeah.
episode instead of the Flash episode.
Well, he was great, but then like, oh, well, I guess they blow him up in Arrow.
Yeah,
And then they got to bring that other one, in season 9, which is like, oh, well, I guess you dress more like him, but
he does. Yeah,
yeah.
and I
Anyway,
guess it's the other one. Yeah, there are other
there
Captain
must be two.
Boomerang. So
Yeah.
yeah, so you have to have that. But now we get to see after that intro with Barry fighting somebody. We see him kind of holding his nose as he goes into lab, which he was not doing, by the way, in
Okay.
the Arrow episode.
Now I have to go watch the Arrow. I want to compare, like, because I feel like they must have used a lot of the same shots,
They
right?
did. So I think when he comes in, he's got like a tissue in his nose
Uh-huh.
from getting punched. But then when he is looking back at the murder board,
Yeah.
his nose is completely fine, and he's just
Is it?
like,
Yeah. Well, on the murder board, help me because you just watched it, right? We don't see pictures of like John Wesley Shipp or anything because they hadn't cast him
no,
yet. So
no.
it's just doctor kills wife or something. Like, is it just
Yeah,
generic?
I think it was just like the generic
Okay.
headline. Yeah.
Okay.
But we have Joe and his partners investigating the farm because
Hmm.
Barry like narrowed this down to like 4 farms or something with a certain type of manure or fertilizer or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, but then we get the partner gets shot and then the collider is malfunctioning.
Oh, I do want to shout out that they
Yeah,
established Clive Martin. Well, which one was Clive Martin? Is it is it this one or the? He had a brother, and they
good.
established that
Yeah,
here. You would think that
this is Clyde.
this
Yeah,
is Clyde. Okay, I don't know what the other one's name was. But
Mark.
Mark. Okay.
Mark.
Oh, okay. Of course.
I have it written down.
Now in the comics, he does have a brother. Like even in Superman the Animated
Yes,
Series, like so that they don't just make that. You would think the show would again. There must be two, right? You
right.
you would think they made it up a brother and they retcon. No, no. From the pilot, they say they're the brother. I mean, obviously he's in the plane with them, so like credit there. They didn't just make the retcon this and bring this up later. So I like that.
Yeah, and it hits the plane. This wave of red lightning or
Yeah,
whatever
wings fall
ripple.
off. Yeah,
Yeah, it goes down. So they both think. I mean, Joe thinks that the Martin brothers are dead. Uh, the liquid is rising again. The lightning hits Barry. He's rushed to the hospital.
yeah.
Uh,
That's
yeah,
it's crazy. That was like the tag
title
scene.
card. Yeah,
Yeah, that was the tag scene of that Arrow 2-parter. And like now it's just in this sequence here in the pilot. I'm gonna have
yeah,
to go back and compare now those those two sequences because they're intercutting and feel like
yeah,
Joe's part gets shot in the neck. Like it's pretty bad. I mean, like it's like
yeah.
wow, like it's heavy stuff. And then he fades to black right when he like passes out in the hospital. So,
Yeah, and then it like flash title card. Yeah.
The line. I don't know if you caught this line. They're like, he got struck by lightning, and one of the nurses is like, then how is he still alive? I was like, people can get
Yeah.
struck by lightning. that stuck out to me for whatever reason. It's
Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. They have a.
so dramatic.
You know, we've heard stories of people getting struck by lightning more than once. By the way, there have been people that have gotten struck a couple times, but those people should be playing the lottery, I guess.
Yeah.
But then we get the 9 months later, and we get Cisco and Caitlin playing poker face for him,
who we had met in Arrow. Cisco and Caitlin.
And I didn't know if I should do that or not, but I didn't do it.
Yeah, since you mentioned like when you see Barry, I'm like, fair enough. We're not going to talk about the Seeing Red. I know is that episode's name because that was going to be the pilot, and then it just meant something else. But they're running. We met Cisco and Caitlin like running around the Star Labs warehouse, like from Deathstroke, I think, right?
Yeah, something like that.
But no, they had established them earlier. I like, man, revisiting this makes me miss these early years. You know, I mean, just these people were the Cisco and Caitlin were as important to the Flash as anybody else.
Yeah, no, it's such a bummer Cisco didn't get to come back at all after he left. So that's it's always something too in the final season that you're like, man, I know he had like a scheduling thing, but that would have been great.
And then you know, on Christ on Infinite Earths, when he thinks he's going to sacrifice himself, and then Earth 90 Flash switches with him,
mm-hmm.
like it's really emotional moment where Barry's like, you know, you two were there when I first opened my eyes as the Flash. I'm like, oh yeah, they were like this, referencing this moment. So like, this is how important they are. Anyway,
you know, they tell him about how the lightning has struck him. He
lightning
has this great line. Yeah, lightning gave me abs. He was in a coma for 9 months, and this is where we get Harrison Wells entering in a wheelchair. Last time we saw him, he was standing before the particle accelerator explodes. He mentions that FEMA categorized this as a Class 4 hazard and shut down Star Labs. 17 people died. The hospital had power outages when he had cardiac arrest. But then he says something about like his heart was just going too fast to be monitored. Like it wasn't actually cardiac arrest.
Yeah, it was some scientific, but then also like obviously drawing the energy as well from the hospital. That's why they're losing power. Like that's yeah. So I mean that explains why he ended up in Star Labs, because you're like, why is he?
Right. Why is he here?
Yeah, it's a pretty clever way of explaining
that. So he just takes off. He's like, you know what?
Can I keep the sweatshirt?
Yes, can I keep the sweatshirt? He goes to find Iris immediately. He takes off the sweatshirt though. He goes and gets normal clothes, I guess at his house, and finds Iris working at Jitters, and they embrace. And this is his first sign that something is wrong, because he sees the waitress is about to trip in slow-mo, but then it speeds right back up before he can like save the coffee or whatever. So, so that happens. It cuts to a bank robbery. We get to see Clyde Martin is back here, and he's causing a storm in the bank. They call Joe to the scene, and we get the news that Eddie is now Joe's partner.
Yeah.
And that his partner had passed away. So,
and him and Iris are acting like they don't like each other. Eddie and Iris.
Yes.
Detective Thawne or whatever.
Yeah, laying it on pretty thick during this. So originally she didn't like him before Barry went in, right? She was like,
Detective
not as
Handsome over here counting his arrests and all that, and she was not impressed by whatever his act was.
Yes, and then during those 9 months, they get a little cozy. And
he covered Joe's shifts, so he could spend time with you.
Yeah, good guy, Eddie Thawne.
Look, he's a good dude. That's the whole thing about this season. Like, he's a good guy. It's not his fault that the hero of the show is in love with his girlfriend, you know?
Right.
And then they ultimately they kind of play into that, and that's what leads to his end on the show. Like, I love when Reverse Flash is taunting him like at the end. Like, he didn't amount to anything. You don't marry Iris, Barry does. History forgets you. But that pushes him to do what he does to become a hero at the end of this season. So.
Yeah, good guy Eddie Thawne.
There's another version of this show where like he really was the Reverse Flash. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
And like Barry steals his girlfriend, and like there's a much worse version.
And that's why, like, he
Yeah.
became the Reverse Flash. He gets so obsessed about it. At the police station, we also get a man is like who's getting booked is about to grab a cop's gun. That's when
Mm.
Barry speeds over and stops him. So he realizes something is wrong. He gets a little excited. He runs off, lands in the laundry van, and then goes to Star Labs and starts getting tested, which gives us to the airfield where he is going to do his running test.
Yeah. Is this the scene where like he like gets mad at them? No, it's later on, I guess, because Cisco's like, "This is cool." He's like, "It's not cool. People are
Yes,
dying."
later. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but no, he goes. That's right. They go to Ferris Air, right?
Yes. Yep.
They really thought they're gonna get to use Hal Jordan and Green Lantern. They really thought
And
so.
WB kept saying no, I
Nope,
guess.
nope, nope, nope. But this is it's not covering all the same beats as the 1990 Flash pilot, for example, but it is very similar because in
It is similar.
and
Yeah.
that show, Tina McGee, who is the Star Lab scientist there, we see her and Amanda Pays, the actress, on this very show again.
Yes. Yeah.
Takes him out to like a track with a van and monitors him and all this. So it's echoing the show, So I intentional or not, I mean, maybe that's just what you do with the Flash. But I appreciated those references of there, and I gotta believe they're intentional because all the people working on the show clearly love the original show.
Right. No, yeah. I think sometimes if you're given a blueprint that is pretty good, you just follow that blueprint.
Mhm.
And I think that's what they did here because uh it is very similar. It struck me when I watched the 90s Flash last year. So that was really great to see. But yeah, he's wearing like this red spandex suit, not like a full suit, right? It's very, I don't know, what would you call this? Like almost like a wrestling suit, like a high
Um,
school wrestling suit.
yeah, I mean, like biker pants and a
Yeah,
bicycle pants and a tank top. Then he's got his helmet with all these monitoring things on him because they want to see how fast he's going. Yeah.
yeah. We learn here Caitlin lost her fiance during the collider malfunction as well.
It struck me this time. Barry like drops her with a, you should smile more. I'm like, Barry,
Yeah, yeah.
what
Little hashtag me too
what
there
the hell is
for
that? What, you're male chauvinist now, Barry? Like, oh my god, she's like, smile more. Good lord. Now they could have set up her telling him her backstory because she's like, well, my fiance died and my career's ruined, so I really don't have a lot to smile about. Very fair, very fair.
right.
But like the him,
Don't go around to women saying smile more.
what's your deal? Cheer up. Anyway, that stuck out to me this time. I'd forgotten the way that came up, but no,
No,
that's
I
important
noticed
backstory.
it. I noticed it this time too. Honestly, I was kind of like, oh, okay.
Cisco has no tragic backstory though,
no.
so he's just happy to be there.
Yeah, he is smiling
Yeah.
more. Yeah, he is. But like Barry's happy probably because he has the powers. I would assume. But Caitlin's probably like, we all don't have powers yet
Yeah. Well,
to be happy.
Here's the thing with these characters. Like, so much of me is like, I don't like it when everybody becomes a superhero. Although these are comic book character, like these characters become
Named
comic book-
after
yeah.
characters. Yeah.
And then in your mind, you're like, oh, well, Harrison Wells kept these people around because he knows their future, because they're going to be like, that's the cool thing about the time travel, right? Like, it's all
Yes. Yep.
intentional. And like in my head canon, like that's why he kept these guys around in his inner circle, because he knew what they were going to become. But yeah, anyway, Barry starts running around and he has some flashbacks. We have another flashback to the night of the murder of his parents.
Yeah.
And I kind of like because they hadn't figured out what the Reverse Flash was going to look like at this point. But you see this kind of yellow outline. It looks kind of like a Flash costume, but yellow. Like, kind of like that. I like that look maybe a little better than the final.
Than what we get. Yeah.
Right? It's more classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have like so like I have this digital background here, but we have Reverse Flash on it. And I don't like the black on the bottom of the yellow on the suit.
Yeah, like that was. I guess they figured a big yellow suit looked weird because I don't know, because the later seasons,
but they
of Reverse
eventually
Flash
do it. Like I think
with
I
the
think
material. Yeah,
I think in Armageddon, when Reverse Flash changes the timeline and Barry is Reverse Flash instead, he has like the just regular yellow
right, and
suit,
that becomes the Reverse Flash suit for the rest of the show. And
yes, and it looks so much better.
The material, I mean, the material on those later, like the season 7, 8, 9 Flash suit is like great.
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and then the material on these, they were like still trying to figure it out. Like, oh, that's a rubber. Anyway, I guess my point is like the look of these characters is evolving throughout the show, and they
Yeah.
didn't know what
Yeah.
the reverse Flash was going to look like. But this is when we see like what Barry saw as a kid when he came, saw
Yeah. Yeah.
the fight or whatever, and it freaks him out, and then he crashes into some barrels and breaks his arm. I get the reason they did that. The reason he had a panic attack was so he could break his arm, so they could establish that he heals. He has that healing factor.
Yeah. A broken arm or hand, and it heals in 3 hours.
Not bad.
Um, by the way, I just love. I know this is to get the information to us, where she's like, "Here is the X-ray from 3 hours ago. Here it is now. It's completely healed." One, wouldn't he
Yeah, I can
know
tell.
that from feeling it? Or when they're like, "Hey, we're taking another X-ray 3 hours later," like he knows he's getting his X-ray done,
Yeah,
right? I don't know.
that was a little clunky now that you mentioned it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It works because you don't really think about it, I think, but like it's just like he acts surprised, but I'm like, they were doing the X-rays. Your hand feels better. Um, but Barry is talking to Wells, Cisco, and Caitlin about his mom, and this kind of where we get like his kind of mission statement. He said it in the first two Arrow episodes he appeared in as well. Like, the whole reason he was chasing down that metahuman over in Starling City, which I keep forgetting is not just called Star City.
when you it's
in those
throwing me
first
when
few.
you say Starling, it's throwing me off, man. But you're right. It's but Ray Palmer hasn't died yet, so it's Starling City. So
Yeah, so weird that again. I think that's part of the thing of like we're doing realism. There's no way it would be called Star City,
is
and
that really
they.
that unrealistic? Like star is a real word. I mean, like
I know. I don't understand
that's
it
such a strange note. Like, oh, no one will believe us if it's not, this. But yeah, but he's telling his backstory again to these guys. And I was,
Yeah.
I was watching, like, I was really watching Harrison Wells
Wells.
here. I'm like, what is his? It's so Tom Cavanaugh, man, such a great actor. Plays
Oh
so
yeah,
many
he's awesome.
so many angles. I mean, he's like he's the Lionel Luthor of this show, if you will, because he, right?
That's how I equate him to.
Yeah,
He's like the guy that is not just villainous, right? But like, well, he kind of has a similar track of villainous, good
yeah.
guy that Lionel has, but also just like really great actor who brings it to like each scene that he's in.
Just you just can read into anything. Like
Yes.
him, just like him watching Barry say the story. Like you got to think he's thinking like, yeah, you're talking about me, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you have to think
It
that.
was me, Barry.
Yeah, it was me, Barry.
But he's like, what if the man who killed my mom was like me, right?
Well, then
Is
Wells
his
is like, you're
main
one of a
thing.
kind, I assure you. I'm like,
Yes, yeah.
no, you're the one who's like, that's looking back at the things he says, like, very clever.
Yeah, trying to put him off the scent a bit here. Eddie and Iris kiss at Jitters, and Barry sees them. So, this is when she says, "You can't tell my dad." Like he covered.
That is a
Uh,
classic Smallville, like, blocking of like,
all it was missing was like the early 2000s soundtrack
it's not,
as he
yeah.
comes around the corner.
That is one thing about the Flash. Every now and then they sprinkle in some music, but they not Smallville is unmatched when it comes to the soundtrack. But like, yeah, you need a slow motion like Rose drop.
Yeah,
How many times did Chloe see Clark and Lana, or Clark see Lana and Lex, and same energy of that scene, right?
so perfect to it. Like they're kissing, and it's always like they
And they
they pull apart,
yeah,
and he's
right
there.
there, looking depressed as can be, because he's tried to confess his love to her earlier. He's like,
Yes,
I
yeah,
know it's weird because we're like brother and sister, but it's okay. You can talk to me about girls. And he's like, yeah, that's
that's what I meant.
exactly what I was gonna say. And then I guess he came back here to tell her that, maybe, I don't know, but like, not, he can't tell her now. So,
Yeah, not now. Then there's this police car chase. This is where we were talking about the scene with Joe and everything.
oh
But
yeah,
like Barry speeds up, he gets into the car.
that was cool, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The effects and stuff probably don't age super well, but for network TV in 2014, they were good.
I mean,
I feel like they were good.
Smallville. I mean, that was some of the great things about Smallville, because it was post the Matrix.
Yes,
The bullet time effects of
bullet
that
time
was
every time.
revolutionary. But as Smallville went on and on, the budget got less and less, and they started just doing like, okay, everybody stand still. We're gonna have like a CGI. Okay, it's all done now.
Yes,
So getting to go with Barry onto these, like, speeding up to the car, getting in the car, that kind of stuff. Like obviously that costs a lot more, takes a lot more time, but it's super impressive, and it really sells the fact that he has super speed.
Yeah.
And he sees Weather
Uh,
Wizard in the car.
yeah. And, they crash, and Martin makes the street all foggy. And that's when he escapes and Joe arrives. And Barry's like, hey, I need to talk to you. It is Clyde Martin. He's alive. And I think he can control the weather, which does sound bad shit,
Yeah,
right? Like that.
he just got out of a coma. He's taking the stuff. Joe's also mad because Iris is there. He's like, I told you when you see danger, you run away. You're not a
Yes.
cop. He's
Yeah.
like, because you wouldn't let me be a cop, Dad, and all that stuff. So you're like, oh, that's what's going on with their backstory. And but no, we mentioned earlier, but I really like the scene where Joe's like, look, bro, I hate to look. We're gonna reality check. There's no magic. There's no weatherman. Like your dad killed your mom. You need to grow up, son. And I'm like, this is a real conversation that would happen. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, I have some of the lines here. It's like, your dad killed your mother. I know it. The jury knew it. And now he's paying for it.
Oof,
For once in your life, see things as they are. Like, this is cutting deep.
that is cool. But again, that's years of frustration.
Yes. Yeah. Then, like I said, right after, Eddie comes up.
Yeah,
he's
with
like,
the paper. I think
it
it was
looks
Clyde
just like
Martin.
Clyde Martin.
That was great comedic timing. Eddie, he's kind of comic relief almost in this episode.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. So Star Labs, this is when I think he gets upset with them, because he says, I wasn't the only one affected by the particle accelerator, was I? And they're like, we're not sure.
Yeah.
I
love doesn't Wells like
yeah.
look at the both of them? He's like,
Yeah. And they're just like, that's a job for the police.
It's like, I work for the police as a forensic assistant. Like, but this is where he has the line of like, you're not a hero, Barry. You're just a young man who was struck by lightning. It's like, damn, like he's just everybody is just cutting him down. But no, this
great line for Reverse Flash too.
It is right. He's like, really. I'm sure he enjoyed telling the Flash that. But also, this is again the realism, the groundedness, which this show immediately,
gets rid of,
just drops. But Cisco's like, oh, this is so cool because as a weather guy.
Yeah.
And Barry's like, it's not cool. The man is dead. I was like, thank you. Like, we should take this a little more seriously. I don't know.
Yeah, before Cisco starts giving everybody names.
Yeah. But it's a good scene. There's a lot of just humanity, I guess, for lack of a better word, in these early episodes.
So he goes to the only person he can, think to go to. So first, like he's running, he gets more memories of the night his mom died. His dad telling him like, stay out of the house. We get a scene with Joe just talking to another cop, like, damn, my daughter's best friends with her kid.
Yeah.
This sucks. I know them.
But that again, that's that's a great timing for that scene because it come just after. Yeah. Because I don't think they really established, because Joe was like, I've done my best to raise you right and all that stuff. Earlier,
right. Yeah.
That's really clever spreading out. And at the time, because we didn't know how the Flash was going to be formatted, right? Because Arrow has these flashbacks. I was like, are they going to be flashbacks like every Flash episode? Because for these first few Flash episodes, there are a few flashbacks, really. So I mean, I'm glad they didn't do that because that's Arrow's bag. So don't do that every show. But it was smart to do that. And yeah, then the episodes start out with this narration, like, I'm asking you to believe in the impossible, right?
Yeah.
And then that's him talking to Barry, I guess, is what this reveal to Oliver. That's him talking to Oliver. I guess is this reveal. He's like, so that's my story.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if it works in the sense of like how he's first delivering the lines.
That's me
at
there.
The beginning of the episode. Yeah. To then be like telling Oliver this, because he's like going to Oliver at like a time where he's actually really like
in the dumps,
broken.
Yeah.
And doubting himself, but he sounds so excited about it at the beginning of the episode. So that's what.
And then the bookend of the episode, he's like, I got a new name and I think it's gonna stick. I'm like, wait, is that the same narration from the beginning? Is this not? True. Maybe we're all wrong. Maybe we're reading wrong. Maybe he is
talking to us.
He's just talking to us, and in the middle there, it's literally just like when you catch up to another scene. Hey, and that's what happened. That's my story. That's probably
Could be.
Guess we'll have to rewatch it again, Jordan.
Yeah. When I'm done with all his appearances, we'll go back around, take another look at it.
But Green Arrow's here. Like a great way to hand off the or not hand off the baton because he's still around, but like just to kind of give the official stamp of like crossover. Arrowverse is here. They're having a conversation in the classic like I don't think that lightning struck you by accident. I think it
Yeah.
chose you, which for the longest time, I thought they're setting up the fact that at the end of the series, he will become the bolt of lightning that makes him the Flash, and they don't do that. So, but because they do that in the comics,
Yeah, yeah.
and so that's what
And
I
one
was
of yeah.
hoping, and that would have been a sad. I mean, they kind of gave Oliver the sad ending, but happy ending, so they couldn't do that with the Flash. I guess they wanted one of these heroes to live happily ever after with his family on Earth. I guess is my point,
Yeah.
right? You can't
Yeah,
do that.
I think it is tough to do like a finale for I would say like Smallville's, right? It's very
It
controversial
was tough,
finale.
let me tell you.
I like the Smallville finale, but the Flash finale I think is also a little bit tough because like you said, like I think you can kind of run the risk here of having too finite of an ending um where it doesn't feel good or right, like in the sense of like let's say he did just become the bolt that then struck him and it's just kind of like almost like a loop,
Yeah.
right? Is then that's we've seen all of Flash then at that point, right?
Mhm.
Like so I think that they want that out a bit, that it's like, oh, he's still off doing other things, but like this main trajectory, his main journey to become who he is now over, and now he gets to live out, the rest of his life being the Flash. Like
Yeah.
I think that's where they're almost like trying to balance. Like we got to wrap up our story with them, but we also need to leave it like open for potential of there still being more stories.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean about Arrow, like, because we have seen all of Arrow. I mean,
Yes,
there's no
exactly.
more. There's no more for him.
And
And
he died not even
yeah,
an Arrow.
and it's true, but you can't do that with both of them, right? Because
Right.
these guys are the pillars of the Arrowverse, right? Because they are your TV equivalent of Batman and Superman. Where the Flash
Yes.
is like,
Yeah.
I can't be like you, Barry. Well, I keep calling Oliver, but Barry's like, I can't be like you, Oliver, and Oliver's like, you can't be. You're better than me. You can inspire people
Yeah.
the way I never could,
Yeah.
and that's a Batman Superman conversation, just on this level, and you can saving people in a flash.
Yes. That's where he gets his name.
Yeah.
As much as Iris tries to push. What does she try to push?
Um, is it the streak?
Yes. Yeah, the streak.
I love that when like they keep trying, like, stop trying to make the streak happen. It's not happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I also like Oliver being like, take your own advice and wear a mask.
Yep.
That's a really good loop around to the episode we just watched where he gives Oliver the domino mask for him
Yep.
to.
And he puts
to wear.
on said mask and jumps off, and
Yes. Yeah.
they both see their exits and both think each other are cool. So
Yeah.
this is I mean, you didn't need Green Arrow here, but it's super cool that it just establishes the universe more, and I think they handled the scene really well.
And I feel like they wanted to tie it because Arrow was so big at that time. They're like,
Yeah.
we gotta get it like a little bit of a, crossover here that just be like, well, if in case if people are just Arrow fans, maybe they'll be drawn to watch this a bit more if they know he's in it or hear if he's in it.
For about 5 minutes, they called it the Arrowverse back in the day, like Flash and Arrow.
Oh, okay.
But then they kept expanding, like, forget it, it's the Arrowverse.
Right,
But,
right.
I mean, if there were only the two forever, that would have made sense. But anyway, just since you weren't there,
Yes.
I'm gonna let you know.
Thank you. Central City is 600 miles away from Starling City.
Did clock that, which means which I don't know what on Always on Arrow. Shout out to Lance and Kev from Always on Arrow. I'm much like me. We're always joking about like, where's Metropolis, where's Smallville,
Right,
where's
right.
Star City. Like sometimes on a map, it's like in New York. I'm like, what are you doing? Like in my understanding, it's like the DC version of Seattle. Like,
Yes.
it's on the West Coast. That's why they're in
Yeah.
the North China Sea all the time, right?
Right, yeah. And if you look at like comic maps of it, it's like in that Pacific Northwest area
Yeah.
is Star City.
And then Central City is like
Kansas City.
Is
It's
it
around there?
I thought.
Yeah.
See, I always thought. I thought Minnesota is where it was. Kind of where I thought it was supposed to be, like Minneapolis and the other twin city, which St. Paul.
Oh,
Right?
okay. See,
Wasn't it?
what I see when I look it up is more of Kansas City and
In
like
St. Louis?
Keystone. Yeah, like Keystone is like Kansas City, Missouri, and like
Oh, right.
the other one
Of course.
is
The two
Kansas City,
cities.
Kansas. Whatever. Like,
These
yeah.
maps. Look, these maps. They're always changing. But I
Yes,
think
yeah.
it's safe to say Central City is in the center of the country.
Yes,
So
that is a
whatever,
good
I'm
point.
gonna go Google it now and see where 600 miles is, but hopefully that is about 600 miles from the West Coast, and then we can call it even.
Yeah, because that's what I was trying to figure this out last episode actually, because I was like, uh, I was really bothered by the math, not just of like the night, right, but like Barry gets on a train that night to for the particle accelerator, which sounds like it's not far away in the sense of like they're watching a countdown to it doing it, and it's nighttime. And then he gets home in time for the thing to happen. So I'm like, this
Yeah,
can't be far away, but it's apparently 600 miles away.
and that's not even like the bullet train that they build later, right? Like
Right?
that's
No, yeah,
later. Yeah,
that's just like a normal train.
they've
Yeah,
learned nothing from Smallville. They don't know what day it is, what time it is, where anything is. They've
yeah,
learned nothing.
yeah. Where is Smallville? That's a small,
It's a
small town
friendly little town just outside the city.
just outside, 3 hours outside,
Yeah,
sometimes, give or
sometimes.
take. He goes back home. He talks to Cisco and Caitlin. This is where Cisco unveils the Flash suit, which was originally meant for firefighters.
Yeah, I like how he comes in. He's got all these like cold case files. You're like, look, I know this isn't you guys' fault, but let's try and clean this down together. And so they kind of patch this up where they left
Yes, yeah,
at the last scene. And then yeah, he's like, and then Cisco's like, we figured if we do something cool or something good for the city, like they'd like us again. Which sure, that makes
right.
sense. That I they have to explain why this suit exists and to make it for firefighters. Just that's a good enough reason for me.
Yeah, with the yellow, almost lightning accents on the
Hmm.
side of it. Caitlin tracks the signature to a farm. Joe and Eddie are already heading there. They got like another tip that they were looking at. But Clyde is there. He uses the weather to make a tornado. Joe and Eddie are trying to escape. As something is about to hit them, Barry saves the day. The tornado is heading towards the city, and Barry's like, "What if I run the opposite way to stop it?"
I like that he came up with that himself
Yes.
because at first, well, first of all, there's a couple funny lines earlier about like I'm like God or whatever Weather Wizard says, and then Joe's like,
Yeah.
"Why the hell does God need to rob a bank?" Like, that was a good back and forth between these guys. Um, but yeah, I was like, "Oh no, this is where it starts." And Brady's like, "Guys, what do I do?" But then they
Right.
don't
Right.
have the answer, and he's like, "What if I do this?" And I'm just I don't know. I'm just so glad. I don't know if it's
Yes.
true or not. It's the trope of the show. The stereotypes of the show have permeated like beyond the show now, and it's
Yeah,
always
I,
like,
I mean, I saw those TikToks, I saw those
"What do I
things
do,
before I
guys?"
watched the show, you know? So it has, it does infiltrate the social media
Yeah,
sphere.
of like the Flash. Not, I mean, and again, the show being self-aware. I mentioned it earlier, but like on one of the crossovers, when Oliver and Barry are together, I think it's when they switch bodies, and he's like, "You don't know what to do without your wife in your ear telling you what to do," and I'm like, "That's
Yeah.
solid criticism." But no, he comes up with the thing, and that's the thing. The guy in the chair is a very important role now, but you still
Yeah.
got to give the hero himself some agency because you have all these characters. You got to give them stuff to do. But you can't have him be telling the guy what to do all the time because then what is he? He's just an errand boy for the people at the
Right.
computer. But he comes up with this, and this is a classic Flash thing, right? Like, got a tornado going one way, I'm gonna run the other way, and it's a really cool
Right.
visual, and it looks really cool, and it's a perfect thing to do. And it's crazy to me. Again, throw back to the '90s Flash. They never did Weather Wizard.
Yeah.
Like, this is a villain they never did. And you think, I don't know, you think in the '90s, they did Mirror Master, they did Captain Cold, they did the Trickster. Weather Wizard, I mean, you get some ice, some rain, like you could anyway. But
Right.
here he
Right.
is as a villain we haven't seen before in live action.
You just get a big fan for like the wind or
Yeah.
something, right? Like that'd be easy. But no, to your point, Barry does come up with the idea, and then Cisco does the other part of like, well, you have to go this fast to do it.
Mhm.
Like that's what the man in the chair should be doing, right? It's like, okay, you give me the idea, I'm going to tell you what you need to do it. 700 miles an hour, and he hasn't reached that speed in this episode
Yeah.
yet. At that point, so it's like, okay, I got to do that. Harrison Wells gives him a
Mhm.
speech. You can do this, and he does the famous "Now run, Barry, run."
Yep. Which I love as the slogan. Do you think they said it too many times over the course of the show? What do you think?
I loved it every time. So
Okay.
no, I
All
don't
right.
think so.
No,
And actually,
I don't
it's
feel
one of the
strongly either
things.
way. I just know that like whenever they can say it, they do.
It's one of the things I'm tallying, and I'm also counting who says it each time.
Okay, well, they
So
got
I
2
will
this
know.
episode then.
To this
Yeah,
episode,
because his
yes.
dad told him okay,
The first time,
here's
yeah.
the, like, the fan talk, right? It's like, okay, so Henry Allen told Barry that during the night his mom died, all that going on. Did the first
Oh,
Flash
right.
hear that? And is he saying it like as like a just a like a reference to himself? Like, and I don't know. Think about it. Huh?
It may not even be as, like, a reference to himself, it may also just be, like, maybe this will motivate him because it draws back to his father saying
Because he, yeah,
this.
but he knows that. I mean, regardless of
Yes,
why
yeah,
he
because he
said it.
sees it. Right, right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right.
It's
No, it's
that's
good.
what's so interesting about him being who he is. So
Yes, yeah. Barry stops the tornado, Clyde pulls out a gun, he's like, "I didn't know there was anyone else like me," and we get, Barry, "I'm not like you. I'm
that's
not a
good. It's a
murderer."
good line. Yeah.
But Joe shoots Martin, and sees Barry without his mask.
I love that Joe got to kill him because he killed his partner. So it's like
Yes,
revenge for that.
revenge.
Also, I remember at the time I was like, wow, like he's gonna know the secret. That's great. I mean, we should have known that was the Flash that's setting the precedent where everybody's gonna find out. But
Yes,
the standard superhero formula would have been, yeah, the Start Labs people know, right? But
right,
his adoptive dad boss at the police station is not going to know. He's have to
right.
come with excuses and all that. But I was like, wow, like he knows. Like I thought that at the time, all these people finding out the secret identities was refreshing. I think over time, everybody finding out is got a little old, but no complaints here for the first 2 or 3 years of this show and that.
It is interesting because I do think nowadays it is kind of harkening back to people wanting secret identities. But the MCU really changed that with Iron Man just saying it.
Yeah.
And then it felt like the MCU strayed away from secret identities. But then it kind of has now come back around where people are like, none of these people have secret identities anymore. And it seems like they're leaning that way more again in movies and stuff. So
Well, it's part of the fun of
yeah.
the character, you know.
Yeah,
Like
you can do so many storylines with it
and I
too.
know people are like, yeah, you shouldn't be having somebody lie to everybody all the time. But that's kind of like that's what's interesting. Like, like
Yeah,
for the greater good, you have to compromise here, and not just for like relationship stuff. That's what they always do it for, like
right,
angst.
right, right.
It's always like that's angst. But like even Smallville in the season 5 finale when Lex gets powers, right? Of course, they
Yeah,
erase all his memory and stuff. But he tells Clark, he's like, I always thought you had this strong moral core, but you lie all the
yeah,
time to everyone. I'm like, that's an interesting paradox, right? So some people don't know, but we talk about Eddie. Eddie finds out before the end of the season.
yeah.
Um, Iris finds out before. I mean, literally, I think by the end of the season, everybody finds out.
Pretty close.
Is
And
there
then, and then
anyone
like,
left?
and then as we go throughout the other seasons, more people find
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Anyway, that the Arrowverse got away from that over time, but I do think there's fun to be had in a secret identity. But that's what at this moment in time on this show, bringing it back, like it was refreshing, and that opens up a whole new level of possibilities between Barry and Joe, which to me is one of the best relationships of the show, Barry
Yeah,
and Joe.
and you have Joe like apologizing to him here, like, "Hey, maybe your dad is innocent,"
Yeah,
and then telling him like he's part of the reason why he can't tell Iris is don't tell Iris what you can do. I don't want her like roped in with this type of stuff,
that's
which is
fair.
understandable.
Yeah.
And it's in track with what you said about him not wanting her to be a cop too.
Hmm.
So like it continues that through line here. Barry visits his dad, and like you said, it's John Wesley Shipp.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is such great role for him, and I'm glad they brought him into that. And I'm glad they continued to bring him back for all these other roles. But like, it is crazy when I was watching this again. I was like, oh yeah, like not that I had forgotten he was his dad, but I was so used to him being Jay Garrick at
Mm.
the end of this show that I'm like, wait a minute, I have to reset myself now, and it's Henry.
Yeah, I mean, his Jay Garrick outlasts everybody. I mean, Jay Garrick goes on to even Stargirl, So I mean, Jay
Yes.
Garrick is universal. But no, John Wesley Shipp, he'd obviously played the Flash in the Flash TV show in 1990.
Mhm.
When they said they were, oh, we're casting John Wesley Shipp will be in the Flash as Henry Allen. We're all like, oh, Henry Allen, that's lame. He should be Jay Garrick. And eventually he was, and eventually he
Yeah,
was.
the writers were like, write that
Yeah.
down. We'll do that
But
next.
the amount of like emotional depth and story they could get out of him being his dad
Yeah.
actually really paid off. Like that's very short sighted of us. I'll be like, that's lame. Like no, that's because of this new backstory. That's the heart of the character. All those scenes where he visits him in
Hmm.
jail. I mean, again, something that the Arrowverse did better than the movies.
Yeah.
Burying his dad in jail and that sort of thing. So and it has a lot of weight to him too, because I mean, you haven't seen him in the modern times until this last scene he comes out.
Yeah.
That they have a really good bond. I mean, you buy them, you buy their bond,
Hmm.
and he's like, I'm going to get you out of here, and that sort of thing. And that's another. You're talking about looking for endpoints. Like that's a
Yeah.
goal of like I got to get my. He even says that like in the moving on, he's like, my goal is to fight metahumans and free my dad. He says that's one of
Right.
the things
Right.
he
Right.
says in the intro. I don't know why I say it that way, but you guys know what I'm saying. So just amazing, like legacy casting that means something. That means something.
Yeah.
Smallville did it with Christopher Reeve for a couple episodes, and they had bigger
Yeah.
plans for him. And unfortunately, he passed away due to his health. Right, but this is really like there has been no better legacy casting in DC history than the use of John Wesley Shipp in the Arrowverse across all these shows and characters.
No, yeah, I agree. I think like, eh, and he also grounds it. He's just a really good actor anyway,
Yeah.
right? So like him just being uh Henry Allen before we add in any of the other roles and nods to the 1990s series is just like he just plays that role so well that it is just so great to see him uh, on the screen doing this, because this is how I knew him first, right
Mm,
before. So I did watch Crisis when that first premiered.
mm.
So like I did not see any Arrowverse episodes until I
Wow.
watched Crisis on Infinite Earths in 2020. I was like in a big comic binge at that point. I actually had like an injury where I was missing work, and I was like, you know what? I just bought the episodes on Vudu or whatever, and I was like, we're just gonna watch these. And I enjoyed it for what it was, but like, so I did actually see him as that Flash first. But you
Mm.
know, like then you kind of forget about that until I was watching this, and then he,
Well,
he just wins me over with his earnest acting as Henry Allen.
yeah, I mean, and, I'll say this real quick on that. Like, imagine having watched that show as a kid and then watch this show and then
Yeah.
have him be that character who sacrifices himself to save. I'm like, oh my god, that made Crisis for me. Obviously, Tom Welling made Crisis for me as well, but
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
what Kevin Conroy too. Like, they're amazing. That second and third episode. Oh,
Yeah.
I won't talk much about the fourth and fifth, but that second and third episode were so good. And then John Wesley Shipp, he was a dad on Dawson's Creek already, so he's already
Yes. Yep.
like in that wheelhouse of WB and the CW. So you're so right though that he's just a guy here and not a superhero yet.
Yeah.
Grounds these early seasons.
We get him saying, "I'm so proud to be your son."
Yeah. Well, he
Which
says
is
about
great.
like you wanted me to change my name. I'm like, oh wow, that's
Yeah.
heavy, and like I can see that. It's like I don't want you to go
Yeah.
around being the son of a murderer, And he's like, no, I'm
Right.
proud to be your
Right.
son. Like something I hadn't really thought about. That's a really important point for them.
Yeah. Don't know if it's needed because Allen is such a common last name that I don't
Yeah.
know if people are like, "Oh, that
That Alan,
Allen."
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. But it is a nice touch that he was willing to uh, even though he knew he was innocent,
right.
to have his son like change his name if he wanted to kind of shield him
Hmm.
as he goes back to school or out in the world. But Cisco puts the bolt on the chest, so we get the first Flash suit. We get him saying, "My name is Barry Allen, and I'm the fastest man alive,"
Because it looks cool. To answer Caitlin, like, why are you putting that on there? Because it looks cool.
which sometimes is all you need.
Now, do you think they did the only? Do you think the only reason in the first season that the Flash symbol has the red circle instead of the white was to tell the future and past Barrys apart from each other? And like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was actually just going to ask you because I was like, it is such an odd thing to do. Sometimes it just seems to be those design choices
Yeah.
that they make. I don't know, but uh,
At first, I thought it was like, oh, you're just doing this to do it. Like, because how many times have we
right,
seen a new
right,
Superman S where it's like, oh, now it's this on the back or that, right?
right,
But
right.
I think it was, I don't know if they might have said this somewhere in an interview, maybe at some point, but I think it seemed to me anyway, it became like, this is how you tell season 1 past Barry versus all the future Barrys you see. And that ended up working, regardless of what the intention was. And we got the real Flash logo later, and it took him 8
Yeah.
years to earn the gold boots too, but whatever.
Yeah. You can't ever give them everything at once. All right.
No.
They gotta get the piecemeal stuff.
We joke about it, but on a show like this, I think that is important.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think you're right. It might just be like or if they did want to do this first and then they're like, you know what though, we're gonna need some sort of visual language going forward. He'll have to have a new suit like almost every year.
Yeah, I
that
think he
gets a
does
new one.
almost every year. Do you think the worst suit is the season 5 suit without the bottom of the cowl? That seems to be the general consensus.
That is a good question. I actually did a live action Flash ranking suit
Oh,
episode on this before the show premiered, just to like
have to check that out.
get it out on the feeds.
Yeah.
Get it out on the feeds. I forget what I said.
Oh, good. We'll find out together. We'll go listen. Oh, is it just this show's costumes?
It's every live action Flash.
Where did
So
you put the 90s Flash costume? Do you like that one?
Number 1.
Yes!
I'm pretty sure I put that number 1.
All right.
It's up there.
I'm very happy I came on this podcast. Oh, by the way, look, let me duck down and show you the Flash beach towel.
Yeah, I thought I saw that. Yeah, that looks nice. I was wondering if it was a towel or a blanket.
No, I got that for like $30 on eBay. I'm always looking for Flash 90 merch. There's not that much, right? So when I see it, I'm like, gotta have it. So anyway, so good.
Awesome.
A man of true taste.
The post credit scene, they have like a little post tag here. Wells goes into the secret room, and Star Labs gets up from his wheelchair,
throws his
takes
glasses
off
down.
his glasses. Don't know if that's needed, but okay.
Right, that was a little aggressive.
He goes to the console, and we get Flash Vanishes in Crisis, April 25th, 2024, which was just last year.
Wow.
But like you said, they do move this.
Well, then you're like,
after Flashpoint.
They're like, how long did Smallville last? 10 years? Yeah, let's put 10 years in for the Flash.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
You do wonder again if the Flash had existed in a vacuum.
It was just its own show,
right? Which is you can't. It's hard to imagine because it literally came out of Arrow.
Right.
But if it was its own thing, would it have lasted 10 years? Would they have stuck to this? Who knows? But incredible stuff. Crisis, Red Skies, Wayne Tech, Queen Industries merger, all these things, right? This is how you end a show. This is how you tease somebody at the end of a pilot, right?
For a pilot, yeah, you're like, okay, green light this
in.
fully. I need to know.
I mean, up to this point, were you suspicious of Harrison? I guess you kind of knew already, but like,
okay, this is kind of my background with it. I was spoiled. I was living with my parents at the time that they were watching this, and I remember watching. I believe it's the Christmas episode.
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah.
It is a big one. And I came down the stairs to do something. I don't know what I was doing, but they were watching this one, and I was like, and I stopped and watched. I'm like, so is he the bad guy? And,
well, we're not sure yet, son.
Yeah. So that kind of stuck with me. And then I would come down, and they're on like season. Oh, I forget which one. Which one has like British Wells?
The fourth one, the Sherlock Wells. Yeah.
Yes. I come down the stairs and they have Sherlock Wells on, and I'm like, wasn't he Reverse Flash? And they're like, yeah, it's a different one. I was like, okay. So I knew that much, but I did not know how many Wells there were going to be or anything like that. So, so I guess I wasn't, but this was also like when I was watching this for the first time, this is the thing that always gripped me is Harrison Wells. Like just every end credit tag is pretty much him doing something nefarious.
Yeah. Because we didn't know who he was, because Harrison Wells, we're like, is that a fake name? H.G. Wells, time traveler, is he from the future? Like, even though you knew he was up to no good, it didn't mean he was the Reverse Flash. Even up until like, the Groundhog Day episode, I guess as people call it. I don't know the title of it, but when Cisco figures it out. And that's an amazing episode that is, right?
Oh, that is great. Yeah.
But like even up till then, you weren't sure. Like he could still be a different character, but like it eventually all came together, and it was just so well done. And exciting times to sit there and speculate about, because you're like, maybe Eddie Thawne's the Flash. He's working for Reverse Flash. He's working for Harrison. Like you don't know.
Right.
So what a tease to tease the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Little did we know we were going to get it actually. On screen on the CW.
There are a couple deleted scenes. One is like
Oh, I don't think I've seen
Uh,
these. Yeah.
so the first one, I watched the Blu-ray. I did buy this on Blu-ray. I pre-ordered it while I was watching the show after I got to like season 6, and I think the finale had just aired, and they were doing like pre-orders, and it was a really good deal on Amazon. And I was like, look, I already like 5 seasons of the show. That's more than half
More
the
than
show.
half.
I'm gonna buy it. And I was first time I've actually watched them on the disc was for this, and I popped it in. Deleted scene takes place like right after Barry is late for that first crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's Barry and Joe talking about being late, and he's like, I was in Starling City about a man that could bend steel.
Ah, okay.
And Joe makes a reference to a man that can like talk to fish or something.
Really?
So a little Aquaman reference there, I
That's
guess.
funny because in season 2, Jake Eric's like, one of my friends lives in Atlantis or
Yes.
something. I wish they would have left that in because that would have helped us with the timeline.
Yeah.
But oh well.
Yeah. Delete scene 2 was kind of like an alternate scene of Joe asking Barry not to tell Iris. But then Iris walks over and talks to him, and then there's a flashback to Barry and Iris as kids, with Barry moving in, and him saying like, "My dad didn't do it," and she says, "I believe you." I think that appears in a later.
That
episode
sounds
that
familiar because they sprinkle in more little flashbacks flashbacks to Little Barry, and I feel like I've seen that. That must be in the first 2 or 3 episodes. And that's when he fell in love with her, when she believed him.
Those were the only 2 deleted scenes, but we have what I'm calling our Rogues Spotlight. Clyde Martin in the comics, like you mentioned, Clyde Martin is a scientist who discovered a method to control weather before dying of a heart attack. And then his brother, Mark, uses his research to create a weather manipulating wand and become a criminal. He's the brother of the weather wizard who first appeared in Flash 110 back in December of 1959.
There you go.
Some trivia. Irish calls the particle accelerator an atom smasher, which could be a reference to the comic character Atom Smasher.
Yeah. I caught that this time. I didn't catch it when I watched it back in the day, but I caught it this time because even the way she's Atom Smasher, I'm like, oh, that's,
yeah, same. I didn't
reference
the first time either. Science Showcase. So the wiki says that this is maybe a reference to Showcase number 4, which was the first appearance of Barry Allen.
Science Showcase. So. Okay, that makes sense. How theoretical are you?
Right. Barry tests his newfound super speed at Ferris Air, like he said, which is, employs Hal Jordan. On Barry's wall for the articles, one of them is written by Evan Gibson, who's apparently an ally of Green Arrow in the comics. And in that article, it mentions him being questioned by the 52nd Police Precinct.
There, the 52 starts.
They do it all the time in this show, so there it is. But then apparently, he is also the one that writes the Flash going missing in Crisis, but then that changes to Iris West Allen. Later in the season. So they were just putting that guy's name on everything.
That's what you would think they would have put Iris West Allen on this one,
right? Like, yeah, maybe they didn't plan. I guess they didn't plan that.
You're putting Wayne Tech in there and Red Skies, and you can't put Iris West Allen.
And then the laundry van he crashed into is named Gamby Cleaners, which is named after Paul Gamby, a tailor in the comics, and he appears in Black Lightning.
Oh, wow!
One of the characters.
I didn't catch that. That's awesome. I love Black Lightning and I love Gamby, so that's a good reference.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the tally board. So I'm going to share with you what all of them are, and then I'll tell you which ones we actually got in this episode. But I call this the Star Labs dry erase board because they're always using that in the show. So we're going to have a tally called Wells. That is a new Wells variant shows up in the show. Not the fastest man alive. That's anytime a new speedster shows up. Hallway talks. Anytime they have characters have a heart-to-heart in the hallway. Name game, which is Cisco naming villains. Particle accelerator metas. Villains who got their powers in the particle accelerator explosion. New 52, the number of times they say the number 52. Barry late. That's anytime Barry is late.
That's good.
Time travel shenanigans. Anytime they go back in time or coming from the future. Run Barry Run and Who Said It. Multiverse of Madness. Plots or references revolving around the multiverse. Anytime Barry says, I'm not fast enough, is going to be one.
Not fast enough.
Open Secret. The people who know Barry's secret. And Rebirth. How many times somebody we believe to have died comes back later?
Yeah, I suspect that I inspired the tally board with my own
You
tally
did.
board. Yeah, this is good. I respect the titles. He says I wasn't fast enough in this episode. He's a kid, right? Does that count?
Oh, does he? I
say
didn't
that
catch that.
I think he says it to his mom. I guess I wasn't fast enough. So I think
Okay, I'll count it. Yeah, I'll count that.
Don't feel free to double check that and take it off later if I'm wrong.
I will
But
check it.
I just remember that scene with him and his mom.
I gotta tally that, and I just realized I missed another tally too. So I'm gonna do. Oh, and then also later we're gonna have. Well, I guess it counts now. Crisis count. How many times they say the word crisis? I thought that would come later, but this episode
There it is.
does have it. And Flashpoint. How many times they say Flashpoint, which will
we'll wait till
get
season
quite
3
the
on
use
that. Yeah.
in season 3. So here's what I have so far on the tally board. Run Barry Run, Henry and Wells both say that. So we got a 2 count on there. We get another Barry's late, which actually is number 2 because he was late on the first episode of Arrow he appeared in as well to the train station. We have people that know Barry's secret. Joe, Cisco, Wells, Caitlin, and Oliver all know his secret.
That's a lot for one episode.
That's 4. Wait, how many is that? That's 5. That is 5. I didn't count Oliver at first. New 52, we have the article that says the 52nd Police
Is it
Precinct.
Linda Park is not on Channel 52, is she?
Oh, I don't think she was on this.
Double check that too. I know they really start
Good
overdoing
catch.
that at some point, but maybe they didn't do it here.
Yeah, because I know at one point that is the news channel, isn't it?
Oh yeah, like Bethany Snow, the New 52, who that character was in the New 52, like end of a lot of those comic books, all over Arrow.
Yeah. Not fast enough. If I double check that, would be a 1.
It's possible.
Crisis count, the 1 with the newspaper, and metahumans that get powers from the particle accelerator because Clyde Martin got that. So
And account his brother in the future seasons.
yeah, well, once we get there, I guess.
When does his brother show up?
I thought it was like, I think it's like probably season 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's not season 1, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know if you pull Weather Wizard twice in the first season. That'd be kind of crazy. Ratings, TV wise, by the way, this first episode was watched by 4.8 million viewers and had a 1.9 in the 18 to 49 demographic rating, which was the CW's most watched and highest rated series premiere since The Vampire Diaries in 2009 when this premiered.
Wow.
IMDb rates this at 8.3 out of 10. And just for the listeners and for you again, Zach, since it's been an hour and a half since I last said this, when we give our ratings, we have a scale based on the speeds of Barry Allen. Mach 1 for a 1, Mach 2 for a 2, Mach 3 for a 3, pretty standard there. Speed of light for a 4, and then enter flash time for a 5 out of 5. So I kick it to you first here. What do you got?
I'm gonna give this enter flash time 5 out of 5. It's a strong pilot, sets the tone for the show, introduces all the characters. Like we said, it sets some goals for the character as well, and it really I mean, we met him already on Arrow, but it really sells you on him and his own show here, and I'm in. So yeah, I thought it was a great pilot and a 5 out of 5 for me.
I agree. I haven't actually given anything less than that right now. I've entered time as well. I'm a shill. One more tally board thing I forgot to ask you. I wanted to put it to you since you're the guest. I know you like to do that as well. Rebirth. Do we count Clyde Martin as being thought dead and then come back, or is that
I think
just one episode?
I think we should, because everybody was like, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead.
I agree with that.
Right?
Yeah.
But usually you're saying, like, if you thought someone died and they show back up a few episodes later, is what
right, like when Yeah, like when Caitlyn's fiance
Right.
comes back.
Well,
That's a
we
point
saw
there.
his plane blow up and everybody thought he was dead, so I think that's
Yes.
a fair rebirth.
Right, and we do not need to count, and that's obviously named after the comic
Yes,
series.
Flash rebirth.
All right, well, that about wraps up our coverage here. Zach, do you want to share where people can follow your podcasts?
Yeah, we're always low on Smallville. We talk about each and every episode of that young Superman show. The preceded Arrow and the Flash and the Arrowverse on WB and the CW. We have now covered every single episode of Smallville. So if you haven't checked us out, either start at the beginning or maybe pick your favorite episode and start from there. We're still going. You know, we have Superman specials. There are Smallville books and comics and other things. And we have some other fun things planned. So we're not as regular anymore because we've completed our mission
You did
statement,
it, yeah.
but we did it. So it was exciting times to have that off the checklist, but still lots more fun podcast conversations. So you can find us at Always Smallville with one S on social media. And also check out some of our other shows, Always on Arrow. You know, Lance Laster was on the last episode here, and we have Always on to the Flash, which me and Matt Truix, you might know from my podcast, we covered the 1990 Flash show, and we have an Always on to Birds of Prey, which me and Matt Truix also do. That's his what my love for the original Flash is his love for Birds of Prey. So we got lots of other spin-off shows like that. If you like superhero TV, we got a podcast for it. So check us out.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to say too, like your Superman specials are great. I don't agree with you a lot of the time, but I will say, like, I just really respect your opinion and like listening to those. And
I appreciate that.
I think you come across like so well and articulate on those that I can see your points even if I don't fully agree with them. So if people are not listening to those, I suggest you listen to those.
I appreciate that. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. But thank you once again for coming on. This podcast here is at enter_flashtime on Twitter. And then we also have an email account and that you can email here for long form feedback as well. We're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're everywhere where you can get your podcast. So you can rate us and leave us reviews on those or subscribe to us on those as well. But thank you again, Zach, for coming on. Thank you all for watching and listening. And we'll catch you next time when we talk the next episode, Fastest Man Alive, here, season 1, episode 2.